Coming up, we mark the one-year anniversary of historic flooding in Breathitt County and hear from officials about how the community is rebuilding. And for others, the rebuild is still an ongoing process. Hear from one woman whose home was partly submerged this time last year.
And spring-like air works into the region this week, and we've got plenty of sunshine to go with it. I'll have the very latest on the way as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
On this day 1 year ago, several communities in southeastern Kentucky were dealing with the aftermath of torrential rainfall that led to a historic rise along parts of the Kentucky River. In Breathitt County, officials say more than 50 homes were destroyed. Adam Berniston talked to folks in the community today about this past year of recovery.
While it has been a year since that devastating flooding here in Breathitt County, some homeowners I talked to are still making some minor fixes to their homes, and a few others I spoke to said they're just now getting keys to a new home after theirs was destroyed.
When the North Fork of the Kentucky River crested on March 2nd, it had reached a height of 39 feet in Breathitt County, which hadn't been seen since the 1980s. Several communities around Panbowl Lake and in the quicksand area south of Jackson saw dozens of homes destroyed and families displaced. Now, a year later, many of these homeowners are happy to mostly be back to normal after a long road to recovery.
Well, I'm blessed. We're blessed. Yeah, it appeared to be an impossible task, but we didn't panic. We pitched right in. We hauled 11 trucks that had 17-foot long trailers plus the bed of the truck out to the garbage dump.
Now, that homeowner you just heard from told me that when last week's heavy rainfalls came through and the river was forecasted to rise again, she was very nervous and anxious, but fortunately that major flooding never came true. In Breathitt County, meteorologist Adam Berniston, WKYT.
Well, people across our region were forced out of their homes 1 year ago today after that historic flooding. We talked with Lisa Robinson today, who also lives in Breathitt County. She's a single mother and says she had more than 2 feet of water come inside her home, ruining furniture and appliances. The water made it up to her stairs, but thankfully did not continue any farther.
Because it brings old memories back of everything I lost, sentimental, stuff I can never get back. Videos of my daughter where her dad was playing with her before his passing.
And still 1 year later, she tells us the repairs are still being made to her home following the flooding. WYMT's Dakota Makeris brings us more of her story coming up tonight at 6.
And thankfully, we are seeing much different weather 365 days later. As 1 year ago today, we were dealing with what was left of that flooding around the region. Today, all is quiet. Nothing but sunshine, maybe a few high clouds in the atmosphere. And it's a little breezy at times, but otherwise looking pretty darn good. I-64 at Moorhead out there. Plenty of blue sky. Out front here, WYMT, even bluer sky. Not even as many clouds out front here in Perry County as there are elsewhere. Elsewhere in Perry County, as a matter of fact, all is mostly clear. Out at Buffalo Mountain as well. Temperatures remain middle and upper 60s around the region. Feels pretty nice outside, and we've got even warmer weather on the way later on this week. Satellite and radar around this part of the country, all is quiet. You have to go up into southern Ohio before you run into any clouds. Back on out. Yeah, we're all in good shape. So if you're headed out to any of those region tournaments tonight, action continues. If you're headed out there in the next little bit, near 60 to head out, just don't forget the jacket as you leave the arenas, because it's going to be cold out there tonight. Not as cold, but it's going to be chilly with temperatures in the 50s by the time some of those games tip off, at least in the first half, and then as you head home into the upper 40s and only getting cooler after that. So I'll have the very latest on when we could see even warmer air moving in coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. Ukraine's president spoke with President Biden today following a Russian attack on the central square in Ukraine's second largest city. Ukraine says at least 5 people were killed in the Russian attack on a television tower in Kyiv Tuesday. Ukraine's president called the strike an act of terror, saying there were no military targets in the area. In Washington, Indiana Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, who was born in Ukraine, made a plea for help.
We need to give them a chance to survive. Otherwise, they have no chance. We'll have millions of people killed.
200 American troops landed in Germany Tuesday as part of NATO's eastern flank. Talks between Russia and Ukraine on Monday did not result in an end to the fighting. Of course, as the war rages on, the two sides did agree to meet again in the coming days. Tonight's State of the Union address is just hours away. Last year's joint address to Congress was pared down due to COVID concerns, but this year all 535 members of the House and Senate are invited. And millions of Americans will tune in as the president covers his legislative agenda, promotes his victories, and addresses the many challenges facing our country. Our White House correspondent John Decker has more.
President Joe Biden set to deliver his first State of the Union address more than 1 year after being sworn in as the nation's 46th president. His primetime speech to the nation comes at a pivotal moment. The crisis in Ukraine, Russia's brutal military invasion, challenging the administration just months after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. White House officials say the president, whose approval rating has dropped drastically since taking office, will take credit for the tens of millions of Americans who've been vaccinated. He'll also tout the combination of vaccines and therapeutics gradually putting the pandemic in the rearview mirror. And the president will take a victory lap for the $2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure law. That legislation will upgrade the nation's rails and ports, repair crumbling bridges and roads, and provide funding for broadband in every community in America. Another accomplishment sure to get some airtime, the American Rescue Plan. It provided crucial loans to small businesses, lowered health insurance premiums, and created a significant child tax credit. The president may also do a little lobbying for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, his just announced nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court. If confirmed, Jackson would be the first black woman to sit on the nation's high court. But right now, the #1 voter priority is inflation. Consumers are getting hit with high prices every time that they fill up their car or go to the grocery store. The president's task Tuesday night showing voters that he not only understands the problem, but has a plan to fix it. With a bleak outlook for Democrats in the 2022 midterms, the president's address is an opportunity to lay out his legislative priorities for the next 9 months. President Biden will also tell voters how he intends to deal with a number of foreign policy challenges, not only Russia, but also China, Iran, and North Korea. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds will deliver the Republican Party's response to Biden's address. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib will deliver the progressive response. In Washington, I'm John Decker.
Well, lots of people are coming to Washington, D.C. for the State of the Union address tonight, including some truckers who are protesting COVID-19 mitigation efforts. That's even though COVID-19 mandates have been relaxing across the country. When the truckers get to D.C., they won't have to wear masks. In fact, more and more places are relaxing COVID-19 restrictions. Among the truckers' beefs, President Biden's federal vaccine mandates. Courts have blocked the ones for private companies and federal agencies. And just a reminder, you can see the State of the Union address beginning at 9 o'clock tonight right here on WYMT. A bill outlining how college athletes can use their name, image, and likeness to earn money is heading to the full House for a vote. Lawmakers in the House Standing Committee on Education passed Senate Bill 6 unanimously. The bill had previously passed in the Senate. Lawmakers said that this bill would put guardrails on how Kentucky student athletes can get paid for NIL, something they say should have been done by the NCAA or the federal government first.
The NCAA is the best entity to deal with this. They didn't. The next best entity to deal with this is in the federal government. They haven't done anything either.
If passed in the House, the bill would need the governor's signature to become law. The House Education Committee also passed a resolution asking the federal government to guarantee that international student athletes have the same ability to make money from NIL deals as American student athletes. Coming up on First at 4, your local shopping mall may soon look very different. How the pandemic, online shopping, the economy are all changing the face of America's malls.
And sunshine and warm air continue to work into the mountains. Scenes like this becoming more common this week. I'll have all the details straight ahead.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen, customized to the categories you choose. The WYMT